The purpose of this video is to demonstrate the calculation of a time-weighted return and a money-weighted return. As you can see, we have a scenario. A client invests $10,000 in an investment fund at the beginning of 2016. At the end of 2016, the investment is worth $11,000. Your client was so pleased with the results that he deposited $2,000 more into the fund at the beginning of 2017. At the end of 2017, the fund investment was worth $12,000, and the client was so upset that he withdrew $3,000. At the end of 2018, the fund investment was worth $11,000. So the questions are, what is your client's time-weighted return, and what is your client's money-weighted return? The former we use to evaluate the portfolio management, the fund investment itself, and the latter we use to evaluate the decision maker, in this case, the client. So let's tackle the time-weighted return first off. So what we've got is we've got several years. So we have 2016, and the beginning of the value term is the 10,000. At the end, there's 11,000. Next period, 2017. Now we have an additional investment of 2,000. So we're starting the year 2017 with, instead of 11,000, we're starting it with 13,000. And at the end, we're told that it's worth 12,000. Then the client decides to withdraw funds, so instead of starting with 12,000, we're going to start with 9,000. And then we end, as given in the scenario, 11,000. From here, we calculate the return. Neaten this up a little bit, make it easier to read. Now we calculate the return, and it's simply the ending value minus the beginning value divided by the beginning value. And we'll put that in return form just to make it easier to interpret. And we'll copy that down to the end. So now we have a return for each of the 3 years involved. If we want to calculate the time-weighted return, we're talking about the geometric mean return over the 3 periods. So what we do first is add 1 to each return. And so it is 1 plus the 10% and onward. And we'll turn that into a regular number, make more sense. And now what we do is we calculate the geometric mean of this and subtract 1. And we can use a built-in function of geomean. And we've added the 1s. We've added the 1s because with the geometric mean return, you're not going to be able to do this with negative numbers. So you add negative returns, so you would add 1 and everything works out well then. But we have to then subtract 1 at the end. And let's go ahead and put it in percentage form. So we have the return on the investments is 7.463%. So this is the time-weighted return, which is the return on the fund itself. So ignoring the decision that the investor made to withdraw or deposit any funds, this is what the fund returned in the 3-year period. The next thing we do is calculate the money-weighted return. Now the money-weighted return deals with the cash flows. So we have to think, what are the cash flows involved here? Minus 10,000 is the first cash flow. Now, they deposited $2,000 more, so we have another $2,000 investment. And let me back this up a little bit. I'm going to use 2015 to represent the ending value there. Apologies. And then in 2017, the cash flow is he received 3,000. So these positive in number or negative numbers are from the perspective of the investor. Now we could turn the numbers around and talk about the fund and the money coming into the fund and the money going out of the fund. We can take either perspective, we get the same result. At the end, we assume terminating the account. It's an easy interpretation to make here, just to say, hey, what is it worth at the end if we were to liquidate it? So now we've got these set of cash flows. Now what do we do with them? Well, with the money rate of return, we use the internal rate of return. So we have the negative flows, the positive flows, we got them in the appropriate periods. And with the internal rate of return, everything has to be in even intervals. So these are end of periods. End of 2015 is the same as beginning of 2016. That's why we tack that on at the beginning to associate with the initial investment. So what we do now is use the internal rate of return, IRR, on this. And this gives us a lower return than we saw above. Well, so we have one number, which is, this is the time weighted, and this one is the money weighted. So it shows us that the fund was earning almost 7.5%. The investor who made the decisions of when to deposit and when to withdraw earned 6%. So if we were compensating the fund manager, we would look at the 7.5%. If we were looking at the investor and how they actually performed, it would be the 6%. So let me label this and neaten it up a little bit so you, whoops, the other way. So that you see clearly what everything is on this page. So we've got the time weighted and we had the money weighted return.